stupid or something.
Now you might be thinking, wow, that guy was a dumbass. Well, as it turns out, I've actually done this a shit ton of times in the event already. As it turns out, when they make Morbin Time one of the loner decks, you should probably be running 3 copies of cards like Gravedigger's Trap Hole, because you're going to be burning your opponent and winning games with this card almost every single time. Welcome to the anti-spell festival. The festival where I finally understand why Konami actually gave us a second copy of Red Reboot a couple of ban lists ago. Yeah, I hope you guys are stocked up on your evenly matched. So in this festival, you're going to have 2 choices. 1. You craft 3 copies of evenly matched and 2 copies of Red Reboot and you pray to God. Or 2. You join in on the cancer. And well, this video, it's definitely more of the latter. So here's today's deck list. Now just a reminder before I go through the deck list, if you're enjoying today's video and want to see more content just like this in the future, I do make one of these free to play festival videos literally every single festival, so if this is the kind of content that interests you, or if you happen to be a returning viewer, as apparently only about 50% of the people watching this are even subscribed to the channel, yet nearly all of you watching are actually returning viewers who have seen my content before. So you find yourself keep coming back to the channel and want to see more content just like this in the future, remember to leave a like on this video and consider subscribing to the channel down below. Alright, let's get into the deck list. So obviously, I'm pretty sure 99% of the people watching this probably already know what a Paleo Toad deck does by now, as I've already done like 2 or 3 videos on Paleo Toad on my channel already, and it's a very, very old deck. Most people already know what these cards do, but for those of you that don't, I'll give you an extremely brief rundown on basically what the entire deck tries to do. So this deck comes in 2 parts, the Toads and of course the Paleos. So the Paleo side of things is basically you have a shit ton of trap cards, all of which have a nice little effect, where if you activate a trap card, or if your opponent activates a trap card, you can re-summon these trap cards from your graveyard as just 1200 attack level 2 monsters straight to your field, which can then obviously be used to go into various Xyz plays or go into various Link plays. The other half of the deck list is of course going to be the Frog side of things, which is mostly based around the Swap Frog in combination with your Ronintoadin. Your Ronintoadin is basically a card that can resummon itself from the graveyard a trillion times a turn, since it's a not once per turn effect. This card, when there is another Toad in the graveyard, you can banish it, then summon itself back to the field, meaning summoning this a trillion times will just lead to various Link summons and eventually really powerful Xyz summons, such as your Toadally Awesome. Now to get this thing in the graveyard and stack it up with a bunch of Toads in the grave as well, we use our Swap Frog. This card is also a disgusting non-once per turn effect, so this card on summon will send a Toad from deck to graveyard, and that includes on normal or special summon, both of which this card can do in a turn really easily. You can normal summon it, send a card to the graveyard, use its effect, return it to hand, then discard a water monster from hand, special summon it to the field, send another Toad, then if you can link summon to something like a coral anemone, you can bring this card back to the field, and then send another Toad to the graveyard, leading into absolutely disgusting end boards. So the first thing you'll probably notice about this deck list is that it's extremely free to play friendly, with the only ultra you actually have to craft for the entire deck list being of course the single copy of Toadally Awesome, which to be fair isn't going to be a bad craft anyway, since it's a card that's played in multiple different deck lists, and it's actually a card that's going to get very, very strong in the future when a certain deck list is released, so keep an eye on this card. The only other 2 ultras in this deck list are the 2 cards you get for free when you buy the sales pack, so literally every single player on the server should have these cards already, and if you don't, well then just go and buy the sales already, you literally get these cards for free from just doing that. Every single other card in this deck list is going to be SR or lower, which basically means there is a shit ton of upgrades you can do to this deck list, especially in the extra deck, with most notable ones being, of course, we're missing Zeus, we're missing your IP Masquerena, and we're missing your Knightmare Unicorn, all of which are cards that synergize very heavily in this deck list, especially the Zeus, because making cards or rate 2s that are immune to battle is very damn easy, which means getting a hold of the Zeus out to the field is also extremely easy. In terms of the main deck, there's there's also a bunch of cards you can upgrade. You can run other ultra rare trap cards such as Solemn Strike if you want it, or if you actually come across a shit ton of certain deck lists during the event, you can run a bunch of different hand traps. The only reason this deck list isn't running a bunch of Ash Blossom or running any Max C is because I found when playing the event that over half the deck lists I was coming across were a lot slower than normal, meaning things like Max C are almost worthless, which is a very odd thing to say, but I found during this event Max C is very, very low value, so I'm not running in this deck list. You can run Ash Blossom, which is probably going to get a lot more value, but honestly, I think it's just more fun to run a shit ton more trap cards to get more paleo effects anyway. The final card I want to talk about in this deck list in particular is going to be the 3 copies of Storming Mirror Force. Now normally I'm a pretty big advocator against running battle traps, but in general in this particular event, there's just a lot less back row removal because no one's running any of the spells, so Harpy's Feather Duster or Lightning Storm or the quick play spells that like to remove multiple back row, all of which are just not being played. On top of that, no one's running things like Knightmare Unicorn, no one's playing things like Access Code Talker. I mean, they are being played sometimes, but in general, you don't see that many link spammy decks in this event, so there's a shit ton less back row removal, meaning things like Storming Mirror Force get a shit ton of value. So I do recommend running at least 1 copy of something like Storming Mirror Force or running 2 copies of some other battle trap, especially when you have things like Trap Trick, so you can search for them whenever you like and just make it so your opponent just can't swing at you or just, you know, lose their entire field. So I do recommend running these cards. It's just in this event alone. I wouldn't run these normally on standard ladder play though. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the deck list portion of the video. As per usual, every single card in this deck list will be typed out in the description down below. So if there's a card in this deck list I've missed, or a card you don't really know what the name is, just check the description, it'll be written out down there. As for the rest of the video, it'll be replays showcasing this deck list in action, and without further ado, let's get into the replays. Alright, so today I have 4 replays to show you guys, all of which were pretty actually banging replays today, as I've got a lot of variety, a lot of different win conditions shown for this deck list, as despite popular belief, this deck list isn't just a one-trick pony summon Toadally Awesome, it actually gets summoned out a whole lot more than that, so hopefully you'll see it during these replays. Alright. All of the replays, by the way, were obviously taken during the current festival, of course, because that's the whole point of the video, so, alright. So first deck list we played against was Time Thief, which is actually a surprisingly popular deck list during the event. Activating my 1 hand trap in the deck list, Impermanence his monster so he doesn't get a search. Our deck list is actually really good into Time Thief, because Time Thief it tries to like deal with face-up monsters or face-up cards, where we don't really use face-up cards outside of Paleos if we don't want to. So, and the Paleos are immune to monster effects, so they're immune to this guy anyway. This guy, when he sucks up a trap card, can place 1 face-up card your opponent controls on top of the deck, which we don't care about if we're just playing Paleos. Alright, passing the turn back, setting 5. Activating Marrella, so that whenever we try to activate a trap card, we then bring stuff out of the graveyard. So just pre-setting it up, ready to go. He goes to battle phase, tries to swing in, first activating Canadia. Chains his dude. That's so he can banish himself, which we don't really care about, so you can go right ahead and do that. Then when he tries to come back again, because it's only a once per turn effect, we can then try to remove it again. He has a counter trap, which is a bit annoying because we can't actually chain our Paleos to that. But thankfully we still have some other back row to use to get some more Paleos out. So activating my Trap Trick to bring out the Marrella. Activates Max C, which is actually fine for us because we want to use another trap card anyway. Activating our Gravedigger to negate it so he doesn't get any draws, and also gives us another summon of a Dinomischus. And we need 1 more trap card for the play we're trying to look for. So I think I just set a back row removal, I'm pretty sure. If I remember correctly. Trap Trick sending the... Oh, I have no idea how to pronounce that. Olenoides? I have no idea how to pronounce that. The back row moving one. Poppy's Crackdown, which tries to yoink my monster, which literally doesn't matter because it will just come back to my board in a second anyway. Summon my dude, yoinks it, then we pop his card, and we get it back. Now we have 3 level 2s on the field, so we can go into... Well, once he sucks up my card real quick. We can go into... These cards are too goddamn hard to pronounce. The dude that has the quick effect pop. So I quick effect pop him, and he can't activate. He could activate his cards in response if he wants to, but it wouldn't do anything because my card is immune to the monster effects. So he can't actually get rid of it. setting my trap trick for the following turn, and we still have quick effect pops during his turn, so he can't actually do a whole lot here. Anything he summons will just get popped, so he just concedes. Alright. On to game number 2. Can't remember what the... Oh, this is the... Oh, no, this is the replay you guys probably saw on the intro. This is the, Morbin time deck list. And this is why everyone needs to run 3 copies of Gravedigger's Trap Hole, because this is a loner deck in the event, and it's a very popular loner deck at that. So everyone playing this deck list is going to get absolutely arse blasted by this thing. So the first thing we do is use our Swap Frog to then send a Ronintoadin to the graveyard and put this dude back in our hand for the following turn. He activates his fusion cards, summons out his big fusion boss monster dude, pays half his life points, and now he's at 4,000. Once again, just like last duel, using my Marrella right at the start, so we can activate our Paleos and have activate our trap cards and get stuff going. He searches for a Misk, which, by the way, I actually let him do this. I was thinking, is he gonna search for a Misk? I could have impermed it, but I was like, I bet he's gonna search for a Misk, and if he does, I wonder if I can actually just absolutely obliterate him. So activate my thing to negate his hand trap, paying 2,000, bring out the Marrella, and I'm waiting, begging him to chain his card. Absolutely begging him to chain it. Activating everything I can to try to get him to use this monster. Which he then does. Pays 2,000, and from there, it's Rip Bozo. Even adds any more cards to bring up to like a chain 7, I think we got to. Literally all BM at this point, because once he paid the 2,000 life points and this trap card was going off, he was gone. Banishing his card, and it's summoning another Marrella, and boom. Yeah, this trap card is insanely good into this deck list because they're always going to be low life points, and they have a bunch of cards that activate in graveyard and cards that activate in hand, so it's a very, very good card to run during the event. Alright. Final 2 replays. So this one was... don't quite remember. Alright. So we went first this time. Not the greatest of hand, but not awful. Setting my Dupe Frog and passing. Summoned an Altergeist, we're going to then negate that, paying 4,000 so he doesn't get his search. Sets 2, passes back. I'm going to activate my back row removal, popping his card. And drawing into a Swap Frog, which is a pretty good draw. And he gets Ash Blossoms, which doesn't really matter too much because we can just return it to hand anyway. Removing one of our searches really doesn't matter all that much. Swap Frog returning to hand. Sending to graveyard to then summon again with a special summon. Sending the Dupe Frog, which was, I think, by an... No, that's fine, it's fine. Alright, summoning out Mistar Boy. Ronintoadin summoning out himself back to the field. Now I'm going to another Link 2. Bringing out our Marincess Coral Enemy, which then bring back that level to the Link 2. And from there we can go into a Link 4, summoning out our Marincess Great Bubble Reef. Now, was this necessarily the best play I could have done? Probably not. I think probably summoning out just a Toad may have been better in this case, but I wanted to show off this really cool play because it essentially turns the deck list into one of those Salamangreat with those, I forgot the name of the card, but the Salamangreat deck list that has the Link 4 that just draws a shit ton of cards. It essentially just turns this deck list into another variant of that, except without all the hand traps, which probably doesn't make it that good, but we just generate a shit ton of advantage because this card basically just draws a card during each person's main phase, or standby phase. So I'll banish a card, draw a card. Gain 600 attack. And I did have a Dinomischus set, so the drawing a card does mean I actually had another target for it, or a discard for it. Draw an extra card, banish a monster. Does get a bit interesting though when I started banishing Toads for its effect though, to be fair, but... yeah, we just generate way more advantage than this guy. Left one. I don't even know why I left a card in hand, considering I was about to draw one. But either way, he just conceded from there. Alright. Final replay. Alright, and this one's going to be the only replay you'll notice where I summoned the Toad. Because I didn't want to show too many replays summoning Toad. I wanted to cover a whole heap of other bases, so this is the only one where I summoned Toad. But don't get me wrong, it's a very important card in the deck list, and although it is an ultra rare, you probably need to craft it if you want to play this. It'll be pretty average if you don't. Alright. Tries to use a Doki Doki, we're going to banish that before it gets to use its effect. And thankfully that caused him to pass. Getting a Gravedigger, which we're going to keep in hand, so we have a target for our Dinomischus. Try to summon another monster, once again just going to banish it. Summon out a Marrella. Alright, which thankfully caused him to pass again. Alright, activating Lost Winds. This is literally only because I just want to get a card out the graveyard. To be fair, Lost Winds comes back to the field anyway when my opponent summons something from the extra deck, so it's not that bad. Beat him for a little bit. Then we're going to Exceed Summon into our 0 attack Paleo. This way I get a search for a trap card, which is then used from hand. He activates Ash Blossom on a card that's immune to monster effects, so absolutely gigantic brain from this fella. Set Trap Trick, have the Canadia in hand, and pass back. He goes to summon out his dude. Thankfully he had to top date that one, I think. Gonna Canadia in response and bring out my Dinomischus. Summons another guy, which we can then trap trick, then grab another copy, I think, of Canadia. I think I did. Then flip this card face down as well. Summoning a goddamn shit ton of Paleos now. Casual 3 Paleos on field. Alright, end phase. Link summon off, goes, oh sorry, Exceed summon off, going straight into Toad, and I think he just concedes from here as soon as I summon it. He was having none of that. Oh sorry, wait, let me actually try to search a card first. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's replays. Hope you guys enjoyed them. If you did, remember to leave a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, hope to see you guys in the next one. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob? Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis. Oh.